skies are darkening the world, you know. The hills no longer green. Like the animals, your blood will flow. Dreaming of this Christmas.
Smiling wide with empty eyes, I'll find you. You're a lot of fun, just like your friend. You're hiding, but I'm deep inside your mind. You'll die 1,000 times, do you wanna try again? You're tired of running, nowhere to hide it. I'm getting closer every second.
Behind you.
There's so many souls to play with, so little time. Not long till I find you. Run for your life. You're in my world now. You're joining your friends. I'm coming to take your soul. In the end, you can't run.
A brutal and disgusting parasite takes over your body and makes you do heinous things. A terrified Sonic and Shadow experience something they have never faced before, forced to face a devastating truth. Infested has become one of my favorite Sonic alternate realities. It's really dark, but really interesting. Its art style is absolutely phenomenal, and there's a pretty good dub over the comic that I'll show throughout the video. Now, it is a fan dub, and then there is another version of it that the creator did, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Links and credits for everything will be down below in the description. In this video, I'll be explaining just what's happening in the comic, giving my own thoughts, and having a bit of a deep dive into this world. Before starting, I want to say that parasites, or anything that takes over your mind and lives inside of your brain, is something that keeps me up at night. So naturally, I was horrified to find out that this comic is kind of like that. Maybe it's just because I'm a control freak, or maybe I don't like parasites eating away at my brain and telling me to kill my best friend. But maybe that's just me. Does something like that happen in the comic? Guess we'll just have to find out. The comic starts with Shadow falling. Flashbacks of what happened during the end of Sonic Adventure 2 is shown. A flashback of what happened to him. The next page shows him being content with what he's done, and we see Maria's eyes. You could see the words filling behind her, words that are important as the comic goes on. The same words come to focus, overbearing as Shadow falls. He's seen repeating these same words as gun agents rush around him to see if he's okay, all worried about what's happened to him and his condition. Prior to this incident, Shadow and Rouge are being handed documents containing their next investigation for Gun. They're tasked to look into a cave. According to Gun, it's been making their tech go haywire, but before they can leave, they run into Omega.
Hi, Omega.
Shadow, Rouge, I hope you do not have any fun without me on your mission. No fun at all. I hope you are so bored without me.
Something tells me you'd hate this one, Tin Man. A recon mission in a tight enclosed space, looking for something that makes tech go nuts? Kinda not your thing.
Strategic benching acknowledged. This unit will await your return on a real mission. Rain glorious fire and fury on our enemies.
We'll miss you too, Omega. Be good.
I actually really like this moment. It adds that chemistry between the three of them, and it provides that comedic relief we will desperately need before things go down. I also like how Omega is portrayed here, still having a sort of sense of humor, and I really like that. Shadow and Rouge venture to the heart of the jungle, which is already a red flag, which they spot the cave they're meant to investigate. Now, I'd like to warn my viewers. It is a horror AU, so be prepared for gore, is what I would say, but they're just investigating a cave. There's no way this could go wrong, right? Shadow takes a peek inside. only to find ancient markings on the wall. Rouge tries to make a joke about seeing an ancient ghost, and even though she's joking, I can't blame Shadow for actually believing her because the Sonic world is insane. Literally anything can happen. Like, what the hell even is Black Doom? They discuss the idea that this could be the work of Eggman as they enter, but Rouge debunks this idea. As they explore, I'm realizing now that Shadow relies heavily on Rouge to bring things that she doesn't need. Bringing a bat to a cave makes sense. They can navigate in it pretty well, so for Shadow to rely on her is a little silly. Like, she doesn't need a flashlight because she can see in the dark, or rope because she can fly. Then again, it wouldn't hurt because she does usually have some useful equipment on her. But, I mean, if technology is going haywire, then a flashlight probably wouldn't work anyway. But a rope might come in handy. I hate to say it, but I think Sonic could have been more equipped to handle this mission specifically, but he's not with Gun, so. And as a side note, I genuinely like how these characters are written so far. The art style is great at expressing their relationship, and their dynamic is adorable. For example, they're trying to play a game while they explore, and Shadow is taking a while to answer because, you know, he wants to win the game. His competitive nature is showing here, and I like that it shows how well they can work together and shows their banter. I wish we could see more stuff like this because the characters are written well, but something has to go wrong because, well, it's not that kind of comic. They bicker a little more about the rules of the game when Shadow notices something unusual. Potential signs of life. On the ceiling of the cave, there resembles a beehive with liquid coming out of it. Shadow and Rouge have just walked into some sort of hive, but it's oddly barren. Shadow tries to explore further in, but the ground cracks beneath him and he begins to fall. He quickly tries to get control of himself and slow his fall, but his shoes are malfunctioning and he can't rely on them. In the midst of being distracted, he slams his head on a rock as he falls, going completely unconscious. A trail of blood follows him down as he lands in the unknown. Blood oozes out of his head as a row of headless skeletons make a path to guide his blood. Rouge is in a panic, blaming herself for not bringing rope and being more prepared. To be honest, I think Shadow should have come a little bit more prepared, but it's easy to blame yourself in these situations. Also, Shadow would have no idea that his chaos energy might be a little nerfed here. She snaps out of it though and tries to request for backup, but can't reach anyone in the cave due to the technological jam. So she makes her way out to go get help. Meanwhile, Shadow is able to get up, but he's got quite a bit of blood trickling down his head, and naturally, he's incredibly confused. He tries to keep moving. He's got a mission to complete after all. People are counting on him, but as he walks, he starts to notice that all of the skeletons are headless. As he pushes forward, he notices more markings on the wall, most noticeably Black Doom. There appears to be insects surrounding Black Doom and what appears to be his servants protecting him. This is just what I thought at first glance, but considering what happens, it all starts to make sense. A bright light flashes in front of Shadow, and a giant insect is revealed in multicolors, its stomach full of something. Now, I'd already be terrified seeing this, as I know a surprising amount about insects, and as Shadow's blood hits the ground, the insects come bursting out of their mother's stomach. A swarm passes around Shadow in a hive, but Shadow notices one dig into his leg, and as it disgustingly crawls through his bloodstream to his brain, he goes unconscious. Waiting for him to wake up at the hospital is Rouge, where he cutely tries to finish the game they were playing in the cave, and this is very adorable because he doesn't want to worry her. Also, it's really weird to see Shadow without his gloves and shoes, but they actually made it work in this comic. Shadow is already trying to get out of bed, but Rouge tries to warn him about his injuries. She's trying to say that he should rest more, and as she continues to worry about him, he suddenly lashes out at her, saying that she's treating him like a child. She seems shocked by this, which I was too, because this was very out of character for Shadow. Rouge blames herself and thought he was dead because of her. Shadow apologizes as even he's confused as to why he lashed out. They chat a little more, another funny moment where Omega tried to visit but he couldn't fit through the door and he almost blew it up to get in. Shadow says he appreciates the gesture, but notices that Rouge has been acting weird since he woke up. The secret Rouge was hiding had involved Black Doom and Black Death, how his body was taken control of. Shadow's confused as to why this involves them at all. Rouge explains that when they found him, they found this weird dead thing within his body. Above him was the Black Doom painting. Shadow says that Black Doom is someone she shouldn't worry about and that he's completely gone. If he's not, he's going to end his life once more. Now, this is where things start to get unfortunate. Rouge tells him he needs to rest and that in his sleep, he was repeating words. Shadow wants to know what he was saying, and luckily Rouge wrote them down. Now, as I was reading this, I had a feeling in my stomach, like pure dread. And you can assume what's going to happen when she starts to read these words. She begins to read out the words he spoke, and as they escaped her lips, so too did his control. His sight shifted to a red mist, and in the next page, his hand had blood on it, with Rouge nowhere in sight. I mean, Rouge is in sight, but, not in her normal form, at least on his hand. Shadow hears rustling in the bushes and yells to reveal themselves, but upon looking at his hand, his attitude shifts and he wants to try to keep them away. However, what's revealed is horrifying. Sonic is standing before him, completely covered in blood and guts, yet he's talking so casually with a smile. And that's the end of chapter 1, and man, what a strong start this is. The artist and story direction is fascinating. You know what's happening, yet you're curious to find out more. These bugs seem to have some sort of brainwashing ability. And my theory is, it's a hive mind. I mean, a bit on the nose considering there was a swarm of them, and they went into a hive. I know, very perceptive of me. But I do find it interesting that when Sonic is found, he's awesomely, presumably hurt his friend. So, at some point, he got the parasite, and maybe when Shadow blacks out, so does everyone else who's afflicted. Now, that's just a theory. And there's a bit more to read, so let's go through the events of Chapter 2 to figure out more. Sonic tries to banter with him as per usual, and is confused by Shadow's expression. But as he makes a hand gesture, he notices he's completely covered in blood and begins to freak out. Shadow yells at him not to run off. Sonic, being in a complete panic, says he was with Tails. Sonic pleads with Shadow to find Tails, but Shadow already assessed that, like him, he killed his friend, and is now covered in him. Sonic is in complete denial and can't accept the possibility he's ever do something like that. Sonic's rival suggests that they be locked up, but Sonic says he's not going anywhere, and as they bicker, gun agents show up to arrest them. They're both put in handcuffs, but Shadow's is designed to sap his chaos energy. Naturally, Sonic is angry at this, saying that they shouldn't have this technology ready for him specifically. Sonic taunts them, saying they can't shoot the fastest thing alive, but they do have a way to counter him still. If Sonic leaves, they will shoot Shadow, and while normally Shadow is fast, the handcuffs limit his power drastically, so Sonic is forced to comply, while also still convinced Tails is alive and needs help. Sonic and Shadow are put into containment, and while they're there, Shadow attempts to make Sonic realize the reality of their situation. The red blur now, lashes out and says he wasn't the one who killed Tails and to stop looking at him like some monster, only to turn around and realize the truth in his reflection. He goes into a panic, his teeth grit. It seems he's about to do something again. His eyes go red. Shadow asks them to stop the car to knock out Sonic since he looks like he's about to snap, but something strange happens, something you wouldn't expect. Sonic greets Shadow and is clueless as to what's happening or where they are. The gun agent thinks this was some sort of escape attempt and closes the door. The gun agents aren't sure what to make of this. Sonic would never kill someone. They can believe that Shadow could go evil, but they have no idea what would have made Sonic snap. We cut to a circus act, one involving Ivan, or rather, Magnus. Ivan is being fired from the circus, and his boss is laying into him pretty hard. In response, Ivan goes out into the crowd to impress them. I promise this is relevant, just let the chapter cook. Ivan begins to lift heavy objects and make a dog out of a steel pipe, and the crowd doesn't like what he's doing at all. One guy in particular says that anyone can do what he does but better, bringing up names like Shadow, Big the Cat, Knuckles, but Ivan is having none of that as he chucks a safe at this guy's face. Yeah, I don't think he's very safe, or maybe he's too safe now. Man, what is wrong with me today? I think this comic is bringing out my dark humor side. His rat of a boss no one likes calls for the military to take out Ivan, and naturally he tries to book it to Mystic Ruins. He bolts it inside the bus, and the door closes behind him. A crowd of people are screaming behind him, and when he thinks he's alone, Sonic is there to greet him. Sonic does his usual sassy banter, and as he goes to shake his hand, he's thrown off the train by Ivan. Obviously, Sonic is able to come back from this and kick the guy in the face, and when he spin dashes into Ivan, for some reason, the little spikes don't hurt Ivan. But that's just because Sonic wouldn't tense his quills against someone who's not a robot, at least not fully. He does do it slightly as a warning, but this causes Ivan to fall out of the train. Sonic tries to catch him, but it doesn't work, and he ends up falling out of the train with Ivan. But Sonic is a quick thinker and uses his speed to make a web to catch Ivan's fall. Sonic goes to call the local authorities, but Ivan isn't going to give up on his dream and begins to crush Sonic. I'd like to say I really like the dark storytelling here. Even if Ivan's dream is silly, he's willing to murder anyone that gets in his way and start a new life in order to start his dream. Sonic obviously won't go down because he bashes his head at the speed of sound all the time, and he smashes into Ivan with the spin dash. But as the elephant is knocked down, we see the same parasite Shadow released jump onto Sonic. Once again, every time I see this thing, I feel that dread. The same words that Shadow spoke are now spoken through Sonic. He's not covered in blood. I think some people expected him to kill Ivan, but life is cruel and we can't have nice things, so instead, he wakes up with not a drop of blood on him. He simply says that Tails will kill him for losing track of time, and before we figure out what's going to happen, it cuts to the present day. Both Shadow and Sonic are having the blood washed off of their bodies, guns pointed at them. They're then taken to a cell where the door closes behind them. Now, before I continue, I would like to say that there is a possibility, I don't know for sure, if this is just Sonic's perspective. He didn't have a drop of blood on him, but that could just be because he doesn't want that to be the case. Perhaps he doesn't want to be covered in blood, so we only see Sonic's perspective. Maybe he actually was. No one was there because he escaped the scene after what he had done, passed out due to trauma. Now, I might be reaching there because that's what I want to happen. I'm going to say that he didn't kill Tails, but it's going to keep heavily implying it, and he probably did. And that's what really sucks. So after being taken to the cell, the guards turn on the radio. Something really unexpected happens here as Kate Bush plays in the background. You know, the Stranger Things song? That's probably what people will know it as. I know it was a popular song before, but it's going to be the Stranger Things song. That's not the unexpected thing, though. Rouge is standing there alive with this song playing. I really like how this comic subverts expectations. It really painted the picture of Rouge actually being dead, and I could see this tricking a few people. But you could have guessed this since only Shadow's hand was covered in blood. He does notice that she was injured. She tries to ask why Sonic is here, but he's freaked out because he knows that he hurt her. She understands that it wasn't him who did this. It was something controlling him. But she already knew. She just didn't know whose blood he was covered in. But as Shadow knows it, Sonic was with Tails. And now he's quiet, not acting like himself. Rouge says it's probably best for Sonic and Mobius if he doesn't remember what happened. But Shadow is opposed to this, saying he deserves to know the truth. But Rouge says that they were more than friends. They were brothers. The ghost of Maria lingers over Shadow as he remembers the death of his sibling. He never paid enough attention. He didn't realize the bond between Sonic and Tails. Maria's ghost wrapped her arms around him, but Rouge snaps him out of it and asked about his shoulder. She was stabbed with the Chaos Sphere, and in response, like the badass she is, stabbed him in the shoulder and wanted to see how he's doing. He's fine, but redirects the conversation to Sonic and Tails and how he can't stop thinking about it. And as he's saying this, Sonic begins to mumble something. And as he's mumbling, Shadow expresses how he understands that pain, the pain of losing a sibling. But Rouge, with her great hearing, shushes him, and as she focuses in, it's the activation phrase that Sonic is saying. The music begins to blare. Shadow screams for Sonic to fight it. He knows he's stronger than this. And if he's not, then, well, Shadow doesn't get to finish what he's saying as they're separated. Sonic gives him one last glare with red eyes behind locked bars, and Shadow is transferred to another cell. And that's what's currently out for Infested at the time of me making this video. I just want to say I've been glued to this, and I cannot get over how good it is. Blighty Alrighty does an amazing job with the expressions, the fear, and the anticipation. I really could believe this was an official Sonic comic, but one with a much deeper tone. I mean, it does get pretty intense in the IDW comics, but this takes it to another level. This alternate universe, in my opinion, handles its characters really well and what they would do in these situations. I wasn't sure about how hopeless Shadow is, but I do think there is more to this bug than what's known and why it's so effective against him and Sonic. Shadow has this resolve. Let's take Shadow Generations, for example, and how he's like, I'm going to use his power, I'm going to figure it out. But what if you put him in a much more hopeless situation? He was able to overcome Black Doom's influence by using the memory of Maria, among other things. But what if he couldn't? What if there was something that absolutely took over his body, and how would he deal with that guilt? I'd be terrified if Rouge got the bug because she's incredibly good at hearing things. I can only imagine the damage that could be done, especially if it's a hive mind. I mean, it already got Sonic, and that's terrifying enough. Turning Sonic into the villain is horrifying because how would you stop him? I know we have Metal Sonic, it's not the same thing. We're talking about the real deal getting taken over. And this is done before, and you don't usually get to do that because in the IDW comics, he kind of has some resistances to this kind of thing, but this is a parasite, so it's affecting him differently. I do think Tails is actually a goner. I don't know if he gets the Rouge treatment, I'm going to be honest. I'm really, really hoping so, but I don't think it's that type of story, and Tails would be incredibly good in this situation just because of how smart he is. But hey, I could be wrong, though I was made aware that deaths can and will happen off screen. Curious to see how the rest of the cast reacts to this. Guess only time will tell. It's said that the creator is going to make the characters face things they haven't before. And what's crazier is, they got Jason Griffith to voice Sonic and Shadow in the first chapter. It's not the whole thing, but it's really cool to see him doing voice work like this. Be sure to keep an eye on it since it updates every Thursday. The link will be down below. I'm excited to see where the series goes, and I'll be following it closely. Be sure to support the creator as always. You can also support me if you want to by using Dunkachi at checkout for Cheeky, or checking out my Patreon where I have some exclusive stuff there. Or you could subscribe and comment what you thought of the Sonic comic down below. I'm personally really enjoying it, and I've been having a lot of fun looking into these alternate realities. Oh, one more thing. Happy New Year's, everyone. I'm really hoping that this is going to be an awesome year, not just for me, but for everyone else. And I'm really hoping that we do big things this year. I'm going to try my best and work my absolute hardest to do some pretty cool things and have some cool releases for you guys. So please keep an eye out on the content as we explore more alternate universes or EXEs or whatever horror media we tend to find, as I plan to branch out a little bit this year. Oh, and I've also gonna make it a point to post to my second channel a lot more so you guys can check that out. I know I'm throwing a lot at you guys. I appreciate it if any of this calls out to you. It's Dunkachi VA. The second channel has just fun gameplay stuff where my friends and I are just being so silly. And I promise you it is entertaining to some degree. I like it. I'm just a narcissist though. So thank you everyone so much for watching. Happy New Year and stay spooky.